Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, but we got it squared away for now. I see Brian, Chris, C Young HVAC, Jason Johnson, Brett, what's up? Eddie, what's up? Outlaw HVAC. We got Nestor in the house, Tomas, Jennifer, a lot of familiar faces. Josh, HVAC guide, is in here too. I think I said Brian, right? Sam Andrew, what's up, everybody? So tonight we have a very special guest. I'm sure you already know who this man is, Mr. Podcast of the Year. We have Gil Cavey. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? Sorry for the headache.
It's totally understandable. You know, everything goes wrong when you go live.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, man. And I want to say, dude, you've been totally kicking ass when it comes to the podcast, dude. So congratulations to you, my man.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. Just a quick question for everybody in the chat. Can you see us both? Can you hear us both? Everything look good? Let me know. I think, yeah, never heard of him. I think Jennifer can hear us. All right. You can see the comments, or you got something pulled up?
Yeah, I can see the comments, and when I look on there, I can see both of us. So it's probably just more messed up shit on my side. So.
Apparently, Gil has really high-end equipment that does not work with my basic setup over here, but we got it going.
No, I don't think that's it. So I'm a dummy, and I updated my Mac to that new Sonoma thing, and I know better. This has happened to me before. Sometimes when you do that, you got to be careful because other softwares haven't caught up to it. And I should have known better before I did it. I think that's the problem. I don't know. But anyway, my apologies for being late.
No problem. We got the usuals in here. We have a good amount of people here ready for the podcast. So for anybody that's been living under a rock, this is Gil Cavey, HVAC Uncensored podcast, and doing a lot of big things out there. Are you still there? All right. I think he froze. Just Work HVAC. What's up, everybody? Gil had to poop really bad. Let's see. We'll see if he comes back in here. We had some issues just hooking everything up and getting the show going, but yeah. All right. He'll probably re-enter right now. You there, man?
Yeah, I don't. Everything was good, and then it just cut me off. Let me get it to put my. There we go. To use my phone again. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm using my phone, not even using cameras. I don't know. Everything's going wrong tonight.
All right, man. So like I said, everybody knows you from HVAC Uncensored. You have a podcast going on. You have a lot going on. You're in management now, right?
Yeah, so I'm the general manager of a company. I work my way up from being
Gotcha.
a tech. Yeah.
So let's just go into it. Like, how long have you been in the trades, and how did you get started in HVAC in particular?
So this is what my dad did. I'm a second generation. My dad did all more like commercial kitchen equipment, commercial refrigeration, air conditioning, and when I
and that's the best part of the trade, in my opinion.
That's where I started my career, and I loved it, to be honest. And I got to a point, I was home, didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And my dad was like, why don't you come work for me? And that's what I did. I went with him. I did that for a long time. There was a big restaurant chain, like buffet chain. My dad ended up taking the job, like running their maintenance. And he probably
we had lost him again.
broke his legs. So when he healed up, they let me come work with him. And that's how I started getting into it. And then from there, it just, I will say that I dicked around for a long time. that I learned just enough to be dangerous, and
Yeah.
I didn't take it seriously until eventually I left my dad. And my dad, the best phone call he ever made, he said, are you going to give me half your paycheck at the end of the week? And I was like, what are you talking about, dad? Ha ha ha. And he's like, you're never going to learn unless you figure it the fuck out. And he said, from now on, unless you're hurt, don't call me at work. I'll talk to you afterwards. And that made me just kind of stick my nose into the books and like really want to learn things and figure things out. And I worked for a lot of commercial companies for several years, and I just kind of backed my way into the residential market and thrived. So it's 23 years now that I've been in the industry. And I only went into management because I thought that was my next step.
Yeah.
To be honest, I fucking hated it first. I hated every minute of it. I wanted to get out of the office. I hated being in there. Um, and then just kind of teaching people and helping younger guys kind of reignited it. Kind of I had to learn how to be a proper manager, to be honest. Like I'd always been like a
Yeah.
natural born leader when it came to sports and stuff like that, but it's different when you're trying to run a business. So once I learned how to be a operations manager and then to be a general manager of a multi-million-dollar company, it was a learning curve. It really was. So I'm glad that I still get to be involved in the teaching because I'm a tech at heart.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm still involved in that, but that's pretty much been the evolution. So I was in the trenches for years on call. I think that's why I was able to gain the respect of the guys that work for us, because they know that I did it. I'm not just some guy in a collared shirt. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, man. That's a good point. And I just want to interject a little bit because I was the same way. And like a lot of the people that I've interviewed on here, there are a lot of young guys, right? A lot of people out there on Instagram, even on YouTube, that are killing it. And I appreciate that they take the pride and they do all this stuff. But I always tell people it didn't click for me right away. I wasn't, like you said, you were messing around for a bit, and maybe you didn't take it serious at first. It was just a job, right? We're kids. We don't think about it that way. And I'm honest about that. I was like that. Now, the work ethic I got was from my dad. He doesn't do HVAC or refrigeration, but he does the whole kitchen equipment stuff, the cooking equipment and whatnot. But, that kind of rubbed off on me and stuff like that. And then, just like you said about the phone call thing where your dad didn't want you calling him up for all these answers and whatnot, just to kind of coast by. My dad kind of did the similar thing where we would ride together, right, to the job site. We did a lot of hospital work at first, and like we would kind of split up because we had different types of work to do. But then, like, if he ever helped me, or like at the beginning, he helped me a lot. He would disappear for a while, right? And I'm like, shit, I got to figure this out on my own, or I got to deal with the customer. I got to do all this stuff, and I'm like, where the hell is he at? He never came back. I ran it. Well, it came up with me and one of my uncles, because my uncles worked with us also. And he's like, "Oh, did he do that to you?" He does that to everybody. Like if you're new and he's training you, he'll leave you, let you figure it out, kind of see if you sink or swim, and what you do in that situation. So he's done that to me. It's similar, right? It's not the phone call thing, but it's like we went to work together and he would just disappear and he's like, "Figure it out."
Yeah, that was my dad's famous line, "Figure it the fuck out." And one good thing about the maintenance is, like, the restaurant owners, like our technical bosses, they didn't know what we were doing. Like, I would get
No.
nervous when they were around, and my dad's like, "You could blow up the compressor. They won't know." He's like, "Only I'll know." He's like, "So just relax and, just do it." And he's the one who used to always preach to me, like, the old guys, like the other guys that work for him always said, "The only difference between me and you, young buck, is I've made a shit ton more mistakes than you." That's why I like
Yeah.
to use that line. There's nothing that you can do that I haven't already done. So it kind of takes some pressure off when you have somebody like helping you. Like, when you're learning, you have to know it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like I say, don't keep making the same one. That's where the problem lies. But you're gonna mess up, learn from it, then go make a new mistake. I mean, nobody's perfect. Everybody has that at some point. Some people have it year 2, some people 5, 10, 12, but you have that aha moment and you just this trade just clicks.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people. It didn't click for me till, and I think somebody mentioned that Jason Johnson said, I think it took him 5 years, and then after that, it was yeah, here I didn't take HVAC seriously until year 5, and then from then on, it was on and cracking. So something always clicks or motivates you, or you see something different, and that's what I always tell people. Because, like I said, I've had a lot of guests that are super young, and they're trying to, they get out there and they do these perfect installs, or they do, or they run their own business at a young age, and I'm like, that's great. I love it. I love to see it, but not everybody's the same. So, that's kind of why I do this, to see the different stories and avenues that people take in their journey. And everybody, at the end of the day, comes to the same point where they realize, they either love this job or don't, but, they take pride in it and thrive in it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. That's been one of the best parts about doing podcasts. I agree with you 100%. Is hearing people's stories and how they came or how they went in business or how they started, because there is no singular right or wrong way to do this.
For sure. Like I said, I've seen guys start businesses in their early 20s and just thrive. I've seen others, like ourselves, we went up and down a hell of a lot in the beginning, and it's scary and stuff, but then, like, you pick yourself up, and like you said, as long as you don't make the same mistake twice. I've burned holes through copper, I've burnt up boards, I've put in the wrong uh size motors or different things like that, and then it's like, oh shit, if you feel like a horrible tech at the end of the day, but then just learn from the mistake, and you'll be better the next day.
Yeah, for sure. I wish, I got my master's license here in Maryland young. I was like 26 and I thought I was king dingaling, even though it took me 3 times to pass that test, and that piece of paper didn't mean shit.
That's the same exact story here. I think I got mine around that age too. Took me a few tries. So I always tell people too, because I had done a video one time on, because people were asking me about the license thing, right? It's different in every state. All the requirements are different. So there's not. I can only give my experience here in Texas. So I went ahead and just kind of told everybody, or made the video on how I went through it, my journey and stuff, and I made sure to tell people I did not pass that thing on the first try. Right, right. I'm not perfect. Took me a few tries. Doesn't mean I'm any worse for it. It's just, it took me a little longer, and that's the real world situation there. It's not an easy trade to really, I guess, get at the beginning. Like, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna always be learning. It might not be easy for you. Like I said, I worked for my dad. I worked for my uncles. And at the end of the day, he would ask my uncles for like a little report on me and stuff. How did he do? What did he do well? What didn't he do well? And I used to get upset because they'd be, well, he's not mechanically inclined. He can't do this or he can't do that. And then that kind of pushed me a little bit to be better the next day and show them that I could do all these things.
Yeah, well, it's weird because even the licensing around here, like, I'm glad they have it, but I know a lot of people that can pass that test, but doesn't mean they're a good mechanic. It's a bunch of codes. It's kind of like in school.
Yeah.
If you can read and retain information and then take a test, that's great. But it doesn't mean that you can apply it when needed. It's like dumb things. Like, if you're on a roof and how many feet, if the unit is 13 feet away, do you need a railing? And I know it's 13 feet just because that stupid test.
Yeah.
But some of the best mechanics that I've ever had the pleasure of working with or knowing, they were like journeymen. They didn't have no master's license, but those guys, you put anything in front of them that's mechanical and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I took, like I said, I took the one here, and it's the same thing. It's just codes. Honestly, I probably forgot most of that stuff, and it doesn't have to do any with much of what I do right now. I mostly do service and little things here and there, but uh, that's the whole argument about people. Should I go to school? Should I learn in the field? And there is a difference. I like to do a little bit of both, right? Study up, do research. I'm thankful for the classes that I took. They were very hands on, and a lot of the professors that I had actually owned a business as well, and then they taught uh, I guess, on the side, or I don't know how it worked, but they gave us a lot of insights on how they ran their business, how they ran their calls. So I think school is good, but it's honestly just to get your basics. So don't go crazy in debt for it, and you're probably gonna learn more in the field and not so much. I mean, like you said, it's all about retention. What I wanted to say was I'm very bad at taking tests, at going to school. I've never been that person. I've been fortunate enough to get decent grades, get good grades here and there, but I'm not a school person at all. And you don't have to be in this trade. You know, you can learn on the field.
No, you show me how to do something, I'll do it. You tell me how to do something, I'm not gonna pay attention. I'm gonna do it again. Um, it's funny, and I'm gonna make a video on this because I was doing some research, and so if a kid goes to a 4-year college for a degree, after they get out of college, their median income, the average income is $55,000 a year. The average cost for a 4-year school is 125,000. So they're making 55K with $125,000 debt. Okay. So this is if you go to school. If you don't go to school, then you have no debt. Okay.
Yeah.
The average income for someone starting in a trade, believe it or not, is also $55,000. If you decide to go to school, and I took the highest, the most expensive, and the cheapest one would be $8,000 in debt.
Dang. And I just had a Jimmy on here, HVAC teacher. They have an incredible program too, and it's super affordable.
Yeah, well, his is good. That I'm gonna help him do a scholarship that I'm gonna pay for somebody to go through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, 4 years. When he was like, "Oh yeah, it's like $500 a semester," I'm like, "That's like $2,000." I'm like, "All right, cool." I thought you guys said like 15 grand. I was like, "Nah, dude, I'm out."
Yeah, they do. That's what I was trying to get, or to make known a little bit. The ones that charge you, and I forgot. I think I've talked to Ty Brenneman about this, and he's always talking about the profit and nonprofit or for profit. You know, the schools that just price gouge and all that money goes nowhere. There's other options. I got lucky. I had a community college that offered it, and it was very affordable to me. It was nothing crazy, and it was not a 6 or whatever 4 to 6 month crash course that a lot of these guys take.
Well,
I took a 2-year program there, and I learned quite a bit.
I've actually found around here that some of the community colleges are the best one. I'm trying to do some, like, go make some videos and meet people because I've heard good things about them. I think me and Jimmy talked about it. The podcast I did with them is a lot of these big schools, these corporate ones like Test College, and they have to follow these corporate, bullshit like courses, and they don't make sense. You know what I mean? Where if you have like a school like Jimmy, a smaller school, and somebody who's actually in the field and can put together a curriculum that actually makes sense, like these kids are going to learn something useful to use when they get in the field. Like it's a big deal. Like I wish that this is where we need people like us, or people who have a voice, to try to be like, hey, there should be like, this should be the curriculum. Like we should fight for our states and be like, hey,
Yeah.
what they're teaching these kids is bullshit. Like we need good young techs, and you guys are sending them to these schools. You're taking their money, you're teaching them nothing, and you're giving them false hope about the trade. Like, and a lot of those things. And I learned this from Mr. Mike Mayberry, HVAC reefer guy, that if you're licensed in your state, or whatever it is, like you can go speak at those events and they'll listen to you because they have to take so much information from people. So this is when one of those situations where it's, put up or shut up. We can all bitch about something that's a problem, but if you don't go out and try to do something, then, how much do you really care about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have Josh in here, HVAC guide for homeowners. He's hired several people from a trade school, and they don't even know how to wire a T-stat after 2 years. That's sad, man.
It's crazy. I've been so lucky about the young guys that we have, man. They've been amazing. And I know that every young guy that we have is not going to be them, but the last two that we've had, they've been so awesome. If I could duplicate them, it would be amazing.
Yeah, they have to want it. They have to learn, and even like being in the field, I'm going on 16 years. I still have to learn things. I still have to do my homework after work and whatnot, get better, and yeah, like the experience in the field. If you have somebody that can take you under their wing and kind of show you, good habits and all that, that's great. That's perfect. But if you do go to school, I would highly suggest going to the school, getting a tour, interviewing them as a school, and seeing how they conduct things, at least as a bare minimum, because you want to know what you're getting into. Because when I went to mine and I kind of saw all the training boards, all the different equipment that they had, like I was pretty excited about all that hands-on stuff that we did, and it was really cool.
Or find somebody that went there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like look on there and reach out. A lot of times they'll give it to you and be like, "Hey, how did you like this school?" And those people are going to be like, "Oh, it was the biggest fucking waste of money ever." Or they're going to be like, "I loved every minute of it. It was great." So, it's
Oh yeah, and
it's
I wanted
all
I wanted to mention that Jennifer does do free training too. I think she does like tech support and stuff with HVAC. So there's a lot of information online as well. If you guys want to look up HVAC, Jennifer Manzo, or any YouTube channel like Craig on AC Service Tech, Ty Brenneman is really my favorite, and I'm engaged in his videos whenever he posts something. So there's a lot of information out there as well where you can go on and kind of learn things on your own.
that's awesome. I would love to talk to Ty. He's one that I've never had on the show that I'd love to, because I agree with you. He does do very good information. And I didn't know that, Jen for the longest time did that with all the stuff that she does. That's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. That's her giving back to the industry, and putting her money where her mouth is, the sweat equity.
Well, yeah, next week, who do I have next week? I think I have Rich in kitchen. So we're going to talk about kitchen work. He's up and coming. He comes out on Pat's podcast all the time. And then the week after, I will have Ty Brenneman, just letting you guys in the chat know.
Nice.
Uh, and I'm super excited for that one. He's just always like happy go lucky, uh, teaches really well, knows how to explain things. So I'm always watching his videos, and he's the reason that I got the virtual ticket for the symposium, the one that they had in Orlando. I was
Uh-huh.
like, I can't go in person, but I gotta watch it. So I bought a ticket to watch it online, and I got it for him because he's, like I said, one of my favorites. If we had more teachers like him, like Craig, like these other guys, that'd be awesome.
Another one's awesome is Trevor.
Trevor Matthews, right?
Yeah. Trevor's another
Yeah.
awesome one. Just very, very smart dude. If you want to learn, thinking about school, like for free, you can go watch those guys' channels and learn so much from them. I mean, sad part about YouTube is, you got to take the good with the bad. You can't believe what everybody says,
No.
but there's some very good ones. And Craig Migliaccio, AC Service Tech, has become a good friend of mine. He is just a sweet dude. He's an awesome guy, genuine guy. Um, he was so nice that I thought something was wrong the first time I met him, but he's just that kind of dude.
Yeah. I had a question. He's asking me. I was about 20 when I started, but I started as a helper for my dad who did hot side, which is like cooking equipment, fryers, grills, all that stuff that they cook with. And then he wanted to expand because if he only does that, then they're calling another company to do the freezers and refrigerators and all that. So I went to school and I got into it, and I preferred HVAC over what he did. No offense, I do need to get back into it so I can be a little more, or at least know a little bit of both sides, or I mean a little bit of hot side, so I can do both. But yeah, started out as a hot side tech helper, I guess.
That stuff used to suck, man. I remember like changing the inserts on fryers and having like grease caught in my arm hairs for like a week.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a major thing. I was always covered in grease and sticky, And then it didn't stop there because we used to do like one of the, I don't want to say the dirtiest ones, but the one that had a lot of oil, a lot of fried foods was actually the IHOPs. And that was 24 hours. And we also had Denny's and stuff. And those I had to climb up on the reach-ins, like the coolers and freezers, because the condensing units were usually on top. Climb up there, the whole top is all sticky, greasy, because it's right next to the fryers and stuff. So yeah, I paid my dues with that one, right? Very dirty. Got into some grills too when we had to, and then that's when I learned, because we do a lot of fast food chains. We've been pretty fortunate to have big accounts. They love the work that we do, and we've been able to keep them. But that was one where I saw the bigger the account, the more rich you think they are. They're actually the more stingy people. Some of the stingiest. They fight every invoice. They don't want to pay this. They don't want to pay for that. So learned a lot from that experience with those bigger accounts, I guess.
Yeah, it's you definitely learn doing the kitchen work when you're doing refrigeration, and you're, like you said, you're up on top of a walk-in box, and you're like standing up in like the drop ceiling, and you get that phosphine gas, and you feel like you're gonna die, and you're gonna
All the
fall over.
time. All the
Yeah,
time. I had to inhale so much of that stuff.
yeah. I'm glad I had that experience. I will say that. But
Yeah.
it was
So do you prefer, or what do you prefer? You prefer residential work?
so business wise, I prefer residential, to a point. As long as you stay busy, because it's you get paid like a lot quicker, and I feel like you're helping the person in need. So obviously we'll do some commercial. Like I like all of it. I used to just like the work. But the fact I'm a people person with a big mouth, um, I that's when I fell into the residential. But I really like all of it. I did, industrial, like ammonia units. I did work at like worked on like these high pressure things that were at a slaughterhouse. So I've had done a variety of things, and I liked all of them. I liked the complexity of some of the industrial. I liked the being by myself and being on a roof doing the commercial stuff by myself, like being at the same place for a little bit. And then I also like the hustle and bustle of the residential side as well. So um, I think it's a lot about your personality.
Definitely. I was going to say, I've had a lot of guys on here that they prefer residential because they're more people. They like to be around people more, have those conversations, and be that kind of work environment. Whereas some of us that do commercial, we like to be on the roof alone, you know, not have to be around people all the time. And I get a little bit of both. So I do prefer commercial rooftops, getting my work done, being in or working in peace and getting it done. But I do also work in kitchens, right? So I have to talk to the cooks, deal with different managers, different kinds of customers. So I get a little mix of both. But personally, I prefer, the commercial side, rooftops and all that.
Nice. Yeah.
Uh, for Paz, I started watching your vids, Adrian, before I got into HVAC. Made the job look cool, and it is. I appreciate that.
He
I
lied.
didn't know what the hell I was doing when I started this channel, and here we are now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I give it to you, man. With the videos and like the social media stuff, you're definitely killing it, bro.
Yeah, I had a. So when you started your podcast, did you start posting on Facebook? And yeah, I know you have a big group over there, right?
Yeah. So um, when we first started, the podcast was audio only. We didn't
Okay.
do any video, didn't even record it. We did it like on Zoom, something stupid, and started the Facebook group, and the Facebook group just started to take off. And as the group took off, the downloads took off. But the group just, because I've always said this, because of the name HVAC Uncensored, which the whole point about that was, me giving my uncensored opinion on topics, or people being able to be uncensored and speak freely, like on the podcast. But in the group, it just, people thought it was a free pass to be a fucking douchebag. And it just, I could say whatever I want. It was never going to change. And the group got up to like almost 100,000 people. And, Facebook fucking shut me down. Literally. And if you, like I said, I wish I had a screenshot. If you just saw like, cause they were like, oh, you guys are using the words like faggot and stuff like that, which I'm not saying I agree with it, but people say it.
Yeah.
It's in the trades. People say it. I'm sorry. And the panel of people that came up was, yeah, I knew I was screwed, so they said it was under review and I never heard anything back. So I started the group again. I think we're at like 50 something thousand. But I'll be honest with you. I share the podcast in there. I don't even go in my own group. I'll be completely honest with you. Uh I'm glad that I found the Instagram world because I love the Instagram community.
Yeah.
I've met some amazing people that I didn't even know existed because I was stuck in Facebook and YouTube. So I've been trying to if I could get those 50,000 people over to Instagram, I would never go back to Facebook, to be quite honest with you. I would never open the app. But quite honestly, I've been horrible about social media. I mean, yeah, social media in general. Especially the last like month or two. I've literally been doing the podcast like the bare minimum, and that's it. And I made a video today, man. I'm trying to buy my forever house, and real estate in Maryland is fucking expensive. I have a rental property that my renter was supposed to be out like June, and I had to like get like the sheriff's office to get this woman out of my house, and it took forever. So now I'm in there like having to like patch walls, repaint everything, do the carpet,
Man.
so it's costing me a shit ton of money, but I'm trying to get it done because if I sell that house, I can probably make like $250,000 off of that house that I can roll on to something else. So it's just been stressing me out. Like once that's done, that's when I plan to build like a new studio and everything that I'm super excited for. I just got to get there. It's fucking stressful, you know?
Yeah. Are you still in Baltimore?
Yeah. Yeah. So right outside of Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah, because Josh, HVAC guide, was asking. He used to live over in Maryland.
Oh yeah. So I live in up by BWI right now, Josh. Like Linthicum area.
Yeah, HVAC guide. He does some good videos. He does a lot of he covers a lot of information, and I know it says HVAC guide for homeowners, but it's towards techs and homeowners. And he recently did a great video on a tour of Dakin because he got to film inside the Houston factory, and that was amazing to see.
Yeah, I'm surprised let him do that.
Yeah, I think he said that they don't usually let people do that, and he got to film in there. So
That's
it was
nice.
cool to see it. I need to go up there because I'm here in Texas, and that's in Houston.
A lot of crap. So just work HVAC says the Inner Harbor. Is that where you are, man? You're in the Inner Harbor?
Right now he's in Texas, I think.
Oh, okay. Because you said the Inner Harbor.
I've talked to him about. Well, I've talked to him before, and yeah, and I'm always been in Texas because someone's asking if I was in California. I'm born here. I've always been here. I've never been to Cali.
I've been to Cali. It's fun to visit, but I would never live there.
Yeah, that's how I am too. Every time I visit somewhere, I'm like, oh man, I want to go back home. Like I like where I'm at.
Yeah. Like I told you, I was gonna move to Texas before I went to Beltway. We were gonna move to Katy, Texas. But I don't know. Maybe down the road we'll see. But right now, I'm gonna stay here. My son's going to college around here for now. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have a lot of people that ask me about the area because they a lot of people do like to or think about moving here, and I tell them like, I mean, there's work for everybody. Texas, Jen says Texas is too hot. That's what I was gonna say. Texas is like a no cool season all year round. So we're fixing ACs all year round. There might be like a month or so where it gets kind of cold, and we're like, okay, we can chill a little bit, but then that refrigeration equipment, those calls kick in. And it's really nonstop here in Texas, especially because we do both. So we like me and my dad partner up. So he takes care of the hot side, I take care of the HVAC side, and then like that way we're never not busy. It's a good business to be in, And then I don't know where I'm at. It's a really low cost of living. I bought a house. I paid off all my cars. You know, it's super. I guess cheap to live here, but it's a little different because you go to California, you go to New York, all these big areas, and your money will go quick.
Yeah, Maryland sucks. Property value, like, the houses that I'm looking at that watch, I'll show a picture of my house when you see it. Like, we're probably talking like $800,000, and it's a million. It's not what you think it would be for that amount of money. It just the property value sucks here.
Yeah, like
And
I haven't looked in a while, but like I bought one for like 110,000, 2-story house. So it was in a nice neighborhood and everything.
you can't get a shed here for 110 grand.
That's why I tell people that's my favorite thing about here, right? And the gas is always under $3. I think right now it's like $3 exactly. So I'm not moving anywhere else.
I don't blame you, man. And in Texas, when we went and visited family, like they were like showing me houses, and like for what I'm doing here, I could be living in a fucking mansion there.
Yeah.
I just heard in Texas that the property tax is high. You still make out in the long run because of everything else, but the
Yeah.
property tax is what gets you. There's always something. I think Baltimore, we're so close to DC that we're always going to be fucked. That's just the way it's always going to happen, being so close to the politicians. But it is what it is. And that's awesome. Like you said, that you have all those no cools. Cause I'm pretty sure like, Hughes man in Pennsylvania, Jen up in, where is she at? She's in Maine, Massachusetts, Maine.
Yeah, Maine.
Maine. That's what I thought. We have 3 months. Summer's 3 months. And you got to hope you have a winter. So you have 3 months in order to make that money. That determines whether you end the year in the red or the green. That's where like service contracts have a big deal. All right, hey, before we end the podcast, dude, because I know I missed some of those shows. I got to know what's the story about the Crocs, because I see people saying it in my podcast too. Was it just like
It's a chat, it's always it's Brian, it's Jennifer, Brett has something to do with it too, but they were asking, I don't know if you saw.
I bought the black ones and the white ones. I don't wear Crocs, just so you know. I'm not saying I never have, but I'm not a Croc guy. I don't know if that answers everybody's questions they've been asking me.
And they wanted to know if you were wearing pants. There's a bunch of questions out there.
I am, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I've never done a podcast and I've not been wearing pants. So thank God for some of you that you only see me from the waist up.
Exactly. All right.
Oh yeah, I'll take a picture of all my shoes, Jen. I am. It used to be watches and shoes. That was my thing, but now I'm just an Apple whore. So I wear this watch. All my other watches are like in like a case that I just keep. But yeah, shoes. I'm definitely a shoe whore.
Oh, and then we were talking about social media, and that's why, because I get people that ask me about my stuff too, right? And it's just like, I like to put a little bit of effort into each one, right? Have a good balance. So I do Instagram, I do the YouTube. I started to do the TikTok when that kind of was catching on and stuff. So kind of like to have a little bit invested in each one, make sure that I work on each one. Now it does get overwhelming. I don't know if people, I don't know how it seems as, from a perspective of somebody who doesn't do any content creation or anything like that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And even myself, like you said, you hadn't been posting. Myself, I've been wanting to slow down. I have slowed down, here and there. Because at the beginning, I was just like trying to work it up, trying to learn all these editing apps and different things. Just trying to build it up. And then like it gets exhausting. And yeah, it's crazy.
It is, man. So I hired an editor, which he's good. But I'm talking to a local guy. I want somebody local because when I move and do the new studio, I'm trying to really do some things, and I want somebody that I can see face to face. Just because, like I always say, like what you said, like anybody does a podcast or does YouTube and stuff like that, you have to respect what they do because they do what you do. They work a full-time job.
Yeah.
They're a husband, a wife, a father, a brother, whatever. And then they do this after that. And it's a lot of work to be able to do this, and you're not getting rich off of this. Like, yeah, like I'm fortunate that now after several years that the podcast does pretty well, but it could end at any time. Me and Adrian were just talking about this. I was like, I try to make it when I can because it'll end at any time, but I'm trying to put it back in. So I'm trying to take stuff off of myself. So to get an editor, so I can just worry about making videos, send it to them, and then they send it back, because it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
And that's what I tried to do. And like, I did start a channel, but that's another thing I'm trying to take on, where I can help other creators and kind of tell them what goes on behind the scenes, what stuff I use, just try to kind of guide them a little bit, because I didn't have any of that when I started. It was like, I don't know what camera to use. I don't know what editor to use. I don't know like what works, what doesn't. And I'm trying to do that. I will get back to that when I have time. Right now, summer's been a little crazy, but um, yeah, like the whole thing is, like I said at the beginning, I spent a lot of time into it. We also had that whole shutdown, the whole COVID thing, so I had a little bit of extra time at that point. But lately, I don't want to make it a priority over work, over family, stuff like that. So I have to balance it, and I'm just winging it, right? I didn't think I was going to be doing a podcast, and here I am doing this. So people like it. We'll keep doing it if all these people keep showing up, which I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Still here at, well, my time is 9:49. I don't know what time it is over there, but it's late.
Yeah, I got 10:52. Well, plus we started late. But yeah, it's fun, man. And like I said, and having that, just wanting to help people, that's why I've loved it. And I've learned, so much just talking to different people, meeting different people, and making friendships. I mean, there's some of my best friends now that, I don't see them in person. They live in different states because of this. It's and I consider them good friends, and we bounce different things off of each other. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
and
awesome.
and I've told people that come to me and they ask me about doing content. I'm like, yeah, we need more content, right? We need more people showing different aspects. We might see a lot of one thing, but maybe we don't have anybody posting like industrial stuff or anything like. I always say to post. So if anybody comes to me, I'm like, yeah, post. Get into it if you can, and then um, like I've had a lot of people recently that have come to me about that, and it's not easy, but if you like doing it, go for it. And it's an investment. That's how I looked at it too. Well, honestly, you do it for fun at first, right? You do it for fun. You have some spare time. You want to see what it's like, and then I think I heard you say on the Misfits podcast that you kind of did your podcast and you treated it like a business. And that's actually what I've been telling people too. I was like, I treat it like a business. I figured out a name, I figured out a logo, kind of separated it from my actual business, my actual work, and treated it like a business. Like if it's not making me money, if it's not, or if it's costing me too much money to do, I'm not gonna invest too much into it. But it's worked out. I have a few sponsors here and there, and it just takes time. It does not come in anywhere remotely close to the beginning. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, well, and to be honest, in the beginning, I didn't treat it like a business. I treated it like a really bad overspending hobby. And because I never thought it was going to be anything. And then you have so much fun, you get into it. Next thing you know, I'm buying all this stuff. I'm watching a YouTube video and I'm buying stuff. I don't even know if it works. I bought so much stuff that I never even used. It's in a box in my shed, or I've given it away or sold it. And I was lucky that I never had to podcast making nothing, because I was able to get Yellow Jacket from day one. And granted, it wasn't a lot of money in the beginning, but at least it was something to feel like I wasn't like doing it for free. But then when it started to actually take off and get some ground, I was like, hey, if I'm going to do this right, I need to treat this like a business. And that's when it really started to take off, when I started to treat it that way. Like HVAC Uncensored, like that's copyrighted. It's an LLC.
Hmm.
I own all that. It's a legitimate business. You know, like now I upgrade things because I have to. I need the tax write-offs because if Uncle Sam sees that you're just making this money, he's gonna long dick you. So, yeah. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
and that's what I tell people is like, treat it. I mean, have fun at the beginning, but treat it like a business, or keep that in the back of your mind that you might want to, because and I tell people this too, because I've been asked about sponsorships and stuff, and I don't go out looking for these things. I'm doing what I like to do, and if somebody likes it, we can work something out. I've had the pleasure of working with Vito, Field Piece, Elitech, Jobber, all these great people that come to me, but I don't have to go out looking for these things, right? If you put work into it, and you get, recognized, or people just see that you take pride in it, just like with anything, like with our HVAC work, right? It gets noticed. So I tell people to kind of think about it as a business, and trying to tell people not to be doing um, a lot of these, things for free now. Like, I mean, the bad thing is everybody's probably going to do it for free, but try not to do it for nothing, or for like a hat, or whatever it is. Um, Take some pride in your content. And like I said, like it's a business at the end of the day, or for fun, if you will. But you never know what can come with it. I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I'd have the subscribers I have, the Instagram followers, and like you said earlier, uh, the main thing that I love, and what I've loved from the beginning, even if you don't get into content creation, all of these guys will answer your questions. I've talked to Chris Stevens, I've talked to like Ty Brenneman, Craig, all these guys before I even, kind of had my channel where it is now, and they would answer my questions in a heartbeat. They wanted to help, and they wanted to communicate, because like all these guys are from all over the nation, the world, and you might not see that locally. Like, if I talk to somebody locally, they might not have good habits. They might not want to do recoveries. They might not want to do vacuums. Stuff comes up, but it's kind of cool to see all these guys that take pride in their work, and then you get to talk to them over social media.
Yeah, it is awesome meeting cool people in the industry. Um, you know, and obviously, I'm known for podcasting, so that's, I've had a lot of people message me and I've always tried to help them in any way that I possibly could. So they didn't spend a bunch of money on stuff they didn't need to, or things like that. And it's I remember talking to Chris Stevens before he started his channel, like him asking me questions and doing stuff, and then watching him just fucking blow up, which he deserves every minute of, because
Yeah.
he's been consistent and done amazing work. And that's the other thing that, even if people start after you or you help somebody and they take off, like being happy for each other, man. Like it's we're all doing the same thing, man. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily a competition. It's seeing each other succeed, and that's what I love. It means more people are getting, you know, the good side of the trades, exactly what we're supposed to be, the way it should be, doing quality work and videotaping it, or doing podcasts that people like to listen to, and supporting each other. Because when I first started, it wasn't always like that. There wasn't that many podcasts, and a lot of people, you know, they act like they wanted to see you do good until you did, and it was like, oh fuck that
Yeah.
guy. But it's still cool. I'm glad that it's changed since then. I really am.
Yeah, I think when I started, it was transitioning as well, because it's in a better place today. And like you said, like I just want to see others succeed. I don't care if I'm right around 8,000 subscribers. I stopped looking at the numbers too, but if I'm right around there and I see somebody, I've seen this happen like a handful of times. There will be somebody commenting on my videos how much they love them, checking in every now and then. Then they get inspired and do a YouTube channel, and then they blow up. I've seen it several times, right? I don't pull my hair out or anything like that. I'm like, wow, good for him. And I support them. I still talk to them. There's nothing envious or anything. So that's the part that I like, the support from one another. And every time somebody will ask me, I'm like, if you really want to do this, try it out, get into it. Wish you all the best, and we need more content. Like that comment earlier in the chat, that they saw my videos, thought it looked cool, and got into it. That's the coolest thing in the world. And if we have more content creators that are better than me or better than anybody, currently, that's even better, because then you're exposing tons and tons and tons of people or younger people to this trade and making it look cool for them.
Yeah, and that's what we want to, you know, lure them in, let them see how awesome it is, get some status behind your name, people know you are, and then go talk at a trade school or go, something. It's trying to give back. This I've been very fortunate in life because of this trade that we call HVAC. You know, um been able to do a lot of things and been fortunate to do things, and I want to give back to it, and I want these young kids to know that this is you can have a good life with what we do.
Of course. So okay, so you said you were in the trade. It's been about 23 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So what, if any, obstacles did you run into, overcome? It can be personal or just work related. Uh, Coming up in this.
To be honest, me was addiction. So
Gotcha.
obviously I faced addiction that, did a lot of things I wasn't proud of. I wasn't being the best technician because um I was trying to hurry up and get done. I was just trying to get that paycheck and get off so I could get high and be stupid. Um and and then in the beginning not giving it, not treating this, like a career, and not trying to make myself better, and just doing just enough to get by. So there's a lot of regrets that I wish, but definitely the addiction part, because I feel like granted, I feel like when I got myself straight, it
Hmm.
lit a fire under my ass because I realized I had no time to waste. But then part of me feels like I could be even further along if that never happened. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I know that addiction, alcoholism, mental health. That's why I try to do shows on it a lot, from personal experience, because I know that it's in the trades, and it's I hate to say it's normal, but so people know that, like, you're not the only one. You can get through it, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's one of the
Hmm.
hardest things I've ever done in my life, but I thank God that I made it out the other side.
Gotcha. Um, so you got over that. You got your head straight, basically, and then from there, you just were motivated. You got into it.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I wanted to be something in life. I didn't want to be a nobody. I wanted to have things. I wanted to be able to go on vacation, and I wanted to be able to, do things for my 4 kids, and stuff like that. So I started finding different, getting good at this, and then making money, and then I wanted different revenue streams, a real estate business, obviously the podcast. In 2018 when I started doing this, there was like 5 HVAC podcasts. There wasn't many. uh you know um so just trying to take risk in different avenues, to kind of set myself up for the future, because sometimes without no risk there really is no reward. If you play it safe in life, then that's exactly what you're going to have, a plain Jane, play it safe.
Exactly, man. So you were a service tech, and then you said you thought management was your next step. How did you get into the position that you are in now, basically?
So I worked for another company I was there for 12 years. I was a technician, worked my way up. I was like the lead tech. Um, and then you kind of get into this gray area because they want to take you into management, but then they also, they don't want to take their best tech out of the field.
Oh yeah.
So you're kind of in this goofy spot. Um, so then I was the operations manager, like, operations slash service and was doing those kind of things. And it got to the point where I learned a lot from the owner of that company, but I was staking my career on a lot of like handshakes. And I was like, hey, like, like, oh, I'm gonna do this for you, Gil. I'm gonna do this. And I was like, um, all right, well, you trying to put that in writing?
Yeah.
Please, everybody remember this. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. All right. When we hire somebody at Beltway, when you come on, we give you an offer letter. So everything we say we're going to do for you, we put it in writing. Just so you know that. So that not happened. So I started getting disgruntled. Obviously I was still doing work, but I got to the point where I was just like, what the fuck? What am I going to do, man? Like, I'm not getting any younger. And then Ryan, the owner of Beltway, where I am now, approached me and was like, dude, like, I'd love for you to come help me, take my company to the next level and build it. And, at first it was take a little bit of a pay cut. But I was like, I kind of believed in his vision, and I ended up jumping at it. And for the first year, I was like, what the fuck did I do? Now it's the best decision I ever made. It reignited my passion for what I do. I love going to work every day. And we have a amazing company with awesome people, and then, so obviously now I'm I've always done kind of the same thing. We just kind of switched titles around, but, before I was like the COO, and now I'm the general manager. So I do the same thing. It's just we changed the titles because we're not really big enough to have a C-suite. So that was the only thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
what I've done has never changed.
And you manage that business. I've seen the stuff that you posted. You try to have, to me, it looks like you try to have a good work environment for the guys, and you really watch out for them, take care of them, make sure they feel like they're getting taken care of. Um, what are some like important values that you have, or what do you value to keep that good business environment for those guys? Because you want to retain them, obviously.
So one is paying people what they're worth, and you know, so I won't go into detail. I'll just say that the money part is right. If
Hmm.
people are underpaid, they're gonna get disgruntled. They're gonna feel overworked. The littlest things are gonna bother them. So make sure they're paid what they're worth. Um, and like having nice vans, having a positive outcome. Like we do a lot of meetings and just showing little things that show that we give a shit. And I've worked for those bigger companies around here where, you're not Adrian, I'm not Gil, you're a number. And
Hmm.
here you're not a number. You're a person. Like I want to know like about your kids and oh, how's little Johnny and Timmy doing? Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's cool. They won their baseball game. That's fucking badass. I want them to go on vacation. If they call me and they're like, "Hey, Gil, I know it's busy, but my son's got a ball game tomorrow night, and I really love if I can go to it." Well, guess what? They're going to go to that baseball game because we can always do work. They're not going to be able to get that time back. So, we just try to do, different things, give them training. We have company fun days where they'll come in and we go to Top Golf and play golf, but they're getting paid all day, have a few drinks, and, just little things like that, just to show that we give a shit. And, sometimes people need those pat on the backs for doing their job. I always say that it's the 3 C's. It's you get challenge, you have to challenge somebody, you have to provide clarity, and then you have to care for them. So if you do that, a lot of times, because let's be honest, some people don't always leave for money, they leave for opportunity. So if they know that their best opportunity is with you, then they'll stay.
Yeah. Just letting you know you're frozen, but I can still hear you.
Okay. Might be
Uh,
my phone acting stupid.
okay, so yeah, that's kind of the same model that we have here. Even though we're a super small business, we're no more usually than 6 techs. We are I think we're down to four right now, 4 to 5, and I'm hoping that even if we do expand, we kind of keep those same values that like what you mentioned, and we do the same thing. Like I said, we make sure that they have time off. Right, vacation is important. Time off is important. Some of these companies want to work their guys into the ground. And I'll be honest, when we started, we kind of did that too, right? Just took on so much work, probably more than we should have, got in over our head. And then what does that do? It just, they can't do their job or they can't function properly. So there's that aspect. We check on them as much as we can when they're out in the field doing these long installs or calls. Check in on them, see how they're doing, if they need anything. Um, there's different ways to go about it, but yeah, if you make them, obviously pay them well, but if you make them feel wanted and basically a part of your family, like that will also help with retaining them because, like you said, they might not, or they might leave for money, or they might leave for a better environment, and you got to make sure that you have a grip on both of those things.
Yeah, because I feel perfectly comfortable. I don't know what's going on with the camera, so I'm just not even gonna worry about it since we don't have that much longer left.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I feel 100% certain that if our guys were to go, get gas and another manager comes up and said, "Hey, here's my card. I'll give you $2 an hour more," that they would tell that other manager to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're happy here. Little things that we email them where they don't put their name, surveys of how we're doing. And I will do so. I meet with them every month individually and I tell them, hey, this is what you really did good. I'll let them know their numbers, what they did revenue wise. I think this is what they're doing really good on. This is what I think that you should need to work on. And then I let them literally do the same thing for me. And at first,
Okay.
when we first did it, they were weird. They were like, oh, well, you're awesome, Gil. Of course, you know that, blah, blah, blah. But then after a little bit, I'm like, no, hey, I want you to be honest. If I failed you as a boss or a manager, like, let me know where I can improve on. So you personally, not everybody else, where's something that I could have done better for you in the last month? And sometimes they'll be like, and I may not think it was anything, but they're like, hey, that one time that I called you and I don't know, it just seemed like you were too busy to talk to me, and
Okay.
I'm like, well, dude, I'm sorry I made you feel that way because that definitely wasn't the case, So just letting them know that their voice is heard.
Yeah, exactly. Making them feel wanted, that they're being heard is a good one too. All that adds up, and like you said, they might get offered something somewhere else, and they just want to stay with you because of the environment, the way, the relationship that you have with the guys, and all that. So that's great to hear. We try to do that as well, even as a small company, and it has worked out well for us so far.
Yeah, and we're not some great huge company.
Yeah,
We still have a long ways to go.
gotcha. I did have a couple of questions, or they're quick questions. Matt, I don't know. I think he was in here earlier, but Matt Waxer, the HVAC doctor, he
Uh-huh.
wants to know if you're looking to be the first back-to-back winner of the Tactical Award Show, the podcast of the year.
I would love to, but to be honest, I don't know if that'll happen. And to be honest, is now being a winner and knowing some of the behind the scenes things, I it's time for new people, And to be honest, I've given some of my, recommendations and nominations that I think, so I don't think that I'll win again. To be honest, I don't think that I should be nominated. Because I mean, hey, if I get voted and people do it again, then that's great. But I think it's about people getting recognized, and I had my moment, which I am forever grateful. It sits right here. Oh, never mind, camera's not on. It sits right here in the back of the studio, and I will forever remember that moment. I will cherish it because I really had no fucking clue that I was going to win. So I want somebody else to have their moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's what Ben's going for. He's going for the recognition of all these other guys, and the stuff that he's doing with that award show is phenomenal. And he even has that like hidden gem award where somebody that you might not know, they showcase them and they put their names out there and kind of help boost all these other guys right? Because we have obviously you've been doing this a while, so we have you, we have Chris Stevens, who is well known as well, but there's a whole bunch of people up and coming that I've talked to, and I'm like, yeah, man, like if you can go out there and get recognized, go for it. Um, how was it getting that award? Because, like you said, I don't even think he tell you that you're nominated or anything.
So you're nominated, but he doesn't tell you that you're going to win. So I knew I was nominated. Uh, and obviously I'm very good friends with Tersh Blissett from the Service Business Mastery podcast. So I knew that Tersh was nominated. And then, I found that, Brian Orr was nominated. So I'm like, fuck, well, it's fun being
Oh yeah.
nominated, like, it's been fun. Um, the year prior to that in Vegas, like I had took some time off, so I wasn't even nominated in that one. So, which I get it. I hadn't been around for a little bit. I shouldn't have been nominated. So to be nominated, I was pretty pumped. And when I was like, all right, well, I definitely didn't think I was going to win. And obviously, knowing the background that Tersh has done, for us being able to podcast at AHR and stuff like that,
Hmm.
I thought for sure if it wasn't Brian, it would be him. And when the HVAC jerk said, "Oh well, the winner is sitting at this table," and me and Tersh are sitting right next to each other at the same table, I'm like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "Yeah, Tersh won." And then you could ask Ben. I wish it was on camera because he said he was looking at me because obviously he knew I was going to win. And when they said Gil from HVAC Uncensored, I was literally just like my jaw dropped. I was like, what the fuck? So and even when I gave the speech, like I got a big mouth and I can always talk, and I kind of didn't know what to say because I was stunned. So but it was like I said, I will always remember AHR at Atlanta because of that. And I want somebody else to have that moment.
Well, that's awesome, Gil, and I do think it's very well deserving. Honestly, you were probably one of the first podcasts. You were like the first podcast I had heard about before I even knew we had HVAC podcasts. So you've been out there, you've been doing your thing, you've been killing it. So, congrats on that. I did see you at
Thank you.
the AHR, so it was a pleasure meeting you there.
Yes, of course. I'm glad. I know you had to leave, so I'm glad you came back that
I went
second
back
day.
because I think Rick told me that you were there. I was like, I gotta stop by at least.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did. So you're gonna be in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I think I told you, right?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I have you already
we're
got
supposed
hooked
to
up with
with what?
Nicole to be able to podcast there?
No, not yet.
I'll get that because I was actually just got sent something, and like I said, I've been so busy with my own stuff. I will message her, and if I have to right now, I can go block off some times for you under my name, and then you can take whichever ones you want.
We'll talk about it. I mean, I'm gonna be there. I want to make the most of it, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, cool.
And then the other question was, and I usually ask this if we have time, but what veto bag are you rocking? Do you have a veto bag? I don't know if you're out in the field at all anymore.
I do. So, um, my veto bag is shit. Which one? I can't. It's damn it. What is my? I can't remember the name of the bag. Um, so it's the one that opens like from the top and it has it's like the biggest one with the pouches on the side. Um, it's like the TPXL something.
Oh, is it the
It's
double XL?
it's the big one that
Because
has
it
like
has
the
does it
meter
have
pockets on the side.
the zippered ones, or are
Yes.
they just open?
No, it's got it's like where it's a flap that goes down, but you
Yeah,
zipper it shut, and it has the big meter pockets on the side,
and the meter pockets, are they open or zippered?
zippered.
That's a double XL. That's the one that I've been recommending because I got to test out the double XL blackout. Which, if you're gonna pick a bag, I always recommend the blackout versions when they're available because those are usually V swap. They might add a few things here and there, but definitely the TP double XL is one of my favorites, and that's the one that I've been using up until recently. I can't talk about the one that I have currently because some people ask me. But the last bag that I had, The TP double XL is a great one.
Yeah, I love that bag. For me, for doing service for the stuff that I do, it's it's awesome. I don't
Yeah,
have the blacked out one. I wish that I did. I've only ever had one blacked out one. I think that was like the Tech MCT. There's not many of the original bags that I haven't had. And it's
yeah.
funny, I've never had any affiliation with Vito, but I can't tell you how many I've given away. And everyone I've given away, I bought and paid for. Like I've bought it and given it away.
That's awesome. I think that's everybody's favorite bag now. I bought one last year too before I was working with them, but I gave away a couple of mine as well, and they're great bags. I love the quality of them. The hard bottom base on a lot of them too is good for me because I work in kitchens. I don't want my tool bag to get wet or greasy or anything like that. Whatever's on the floor in those kitchens, you never know.
Yeah, no.
And yeah, I started collecting all the blackout ones though. I started buying those.
They're nice. I do love the blackout ones. They just happened to have this one at the local Johnstone, and I was like, I will take it. I bought the one smaller than at first, and then I came in a couple of days later and saw that one, and I was like, no, I want this one.
Yeah, man, it's an awesome bag. I don't know if there was any other questions in the chat. I think we're gonna start to wrap this up. We've been here quite a while. I don't want to keep Gil too long.
Yeah, I got a service meeting tomorrow. Any other day, I just go in late, but yeah, I got a meeting, so
I think
those
I think
guys
we
are doing
got
it.
I think we got to all the questions. So I appreciate you for coming on, Gil. It was a pleasure talking to you. I think we went over a lot of good topics and discussions. So like I said, I appreciate you for coming out.
Of course, man. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm honored to be here, man. Like I said, I think you've done amazing with the podcast. I think you do amazing with your social media and stuff like that. You're consistent with how you do it, and you kind of have that like genuine. I think being genuine takes you far in these kind of podcast and shows, and you definitely have it. And I think that's one of the reasons that you definitely do so good, man. So keep kicking ass, bro, for sure.
Man, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. I don't know if you have anything to say as we part, but I'm gonna cue the outro in a minute.
I have to say thank you guys for everybody coming, man. I appreciate you coming to watch the show and keep supporting my man here. I'll be on YouTube tomorrow night.
And I will be there too, man. I will well, it was nice talking to you. I'm gonna cue the outro. I'll see you guys.